going on, Jerome's? We're back. Take a look at another mock draft. So Ryan Wilson, CBS Sports, is out there. A little bit out there. It's always an adventure going through his mocks from week to week. So buckle up. The roller coaster, it's going to be a little bit bumpy. So let's go. At the top, so we got Trevor Lawrence at 1. Number 2, actually, Ryan Wilson is going to be the first guy who drops Trevor Lawrence. I'm calling that right now. Putting that out in the universe. Number 2, Penei Sewell going to the Jets. Now, quarterback doesn't make a lot of sense here, but if they are going to roll with Sam Darnold, even though I don't believe it for a second, and if they trade for Deshaun, they probably have to give up 2. But sticking and picking here, the best offensive line prospect in a decade. And they're going to run into a problem where, what do you do with Mekhi Becton? Where Sewell is going to be best utilized at left tackle, but so is Mekhi Becton. But it's a good problem to have where you have 2 really good left tackles. One of them has to move to the other side. 3, so the Dolphins, they don't go wide receiver. They don't get quarterback to replace Tua, even though Zach Wilson would be pretty tempting here. But they get Rashawn Slater at protecting Tua, build around him, get the best look possible at him this season. And if he's not the guy, he's not the guy. Then you move on with life. But Rashawn Slater's a dude, man. He's a dog. I absolutely love him. And you could play him a tackle. In this spot, probably kick him inside the guard, even though I do like him at tackle. Doesn't check the boxes for length. But you have Austin Jackson. You got Robert Hunt. You do have some nice offensive line pieces in Miami going forward. 4, so Zach Wilson. Arthur Smith gets his quarterback of the future, and it does make a lot of sense. But you are taking Zach Wilson, small school BYU kid, over Justin Fields, a local product. It's a big gamble. It's a big gamble, man. It sort of reminds me of when Pete Carroll first got to the Seahawks, and everyone and their mom thought that they were going to take his USC safety Taylor Mays, a former Bengals and Vikings legend Taylor Mays, by the way. But then he went with Earl Thomas. Sort of worked out. I think this Wilson pick over Justin Fields could be very similar. 5, so Davonte Smith. Now, you would think Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow would make sense, but they whiff on both of the offensive line guys in Sewell and Slater. But, I mean, Devontae's just super talented, man. He just absolutely is. Heisman Trophy winner, and ignoring the frame, ignoring all of that, just a dynamic playmaker. And Davante with Higgins, with Tyler Boyd working the slot, that's a nice trio of weapons. But now, I mean, the Bengals, are sure, spend the money in free agency. Go get Joe Thuney. Trade for Riley Reef. Do all those things. Next up, number 6. So you got the Eagles. What are the Eagles doing? What the absolute hell are the Eagles doing? So you got Jalen Hurts, your second-round pick last year from Oklahoma, who looked pretty damn good when you let him play. Carson Wentz, you're probably going to trade him. And now you just throw this wrench in. Now, this could be an extreme case of BPA, sure, but what is Roseman doing? I mean, maybe Doug had a point. I don't know, but Justin Fields gets tossed in with Jalen Hurts, and I mean, there's so many other needs on this team. Linebacker, you could go with Micah Parsons. Cornerback could go with Caleb Farley or Surtain. Wide receiver could go with Jamar Chase, but now just add another quarterback, even though you already have a pretty decent one in Jalen Hurts. 7. So maybe the Lions are down to clown and building around Jared Goff, but Jamar Chase, nice big-bodied outside the numbers receiver, replace Marvin Jones and Babytron. Sure. 8. So Panthers, they get in the Mac Jones business. So Mac Jones over Trey Lance. They're not going to run back with Teddy. They made that very obvious the way that they played their hand with Stafford. But Mac Jones, I think it's a little bit high for him. But what Matt Rule and Joe Brady want to do on defense, just have a distributor. And him dishing it out to those 3 receivers plus Christian McCaffrey. The defense is young, fast, and hungry. I mean, Carolina's all of a sudden gets very, very interesting. They do. 9. So the Broncos have missed out on Justin Fields, and I don't know. Will they pass on Trey Lance in this spot? I don't know if they do, but Caleb Farley, cornerback 1, doesn't make a lot of sense with Vic Fangio's defense. 10. So Micah Parsons. Now, I like the talent. I don't love the fit because it is a sub-package league, and you could say, sure, he's replacing Sean Lee, but how many times is Sean Lee actually on the field? I mean, they have Jalen Smith. They have Leighton Vander Esch. I mean, yes, they can use Parsons in a variety of ways, but I don't know. Like, there's so many other needs. You could go cornerback, could go safety, could go, well, not safety this side, but you go offensive line. You go Kyle Pitts. 11. So the Giants are probably going to have some major needs on the defensive line, but going offensive line here, well, they could go wide receiver, but Elijah Vera Tucker, AVT, This is the highest I've ever seen him mocked. Now, it's super intriguing where I don't know where Tucker's going to go. Could he go as high as 11? Probably not. Could he go somewhere in the teens? A lot of people are starting to mock AVT to the Vikings a lot at 14, sure. I think he's a late 20s talent, but absolute rock star at guard, was okay at tackle. But you're going to have AVT and Will Hernandez at guards going forward. Hopefully Andrew Thomas and Matt Peart will start panning up. Sure. 12. So this would be the Trey Lance pick, but the Niners go a different direction. I mean, Jalen Waddle, yeah, absolute burner. Him, Debo, and Ayuk, plus George Kittle. I mean, whoever the hell the quarterback is going to be is going to have an amazing suite of weapons. So, sure. 13. Now, the Chargers have major needs on the offensive line as well as cornerback, but Azeez, all right, so Ingram aging out, probably going to get rid of him. So you have Azeez opposite of Bosa. I like it. I do like it. 14, so Christian Barmore, you're betting on the potential. Absolutely destroy the college football playoff. Now, he does have the highest ceiling of all the 3-techs in this draft. I get it, but I don't know. Like, I like it. I'm not overly in love with it, but you know, the rest of the guys on board, Kyle Pitts is there, Kwity Paye is there. I mean, Trey Lance is on board. That would have to be a decision. I love me some Christian Darrisaw, but I mean, if they go with the other Christian, hashtag not my Christian, if they go with Barrymore in the spot, I can't really complain. But I feel like there is a lot of value still left on this board. And I would not be upset if they went with Trey Lance. I really wouldn't. 15. So this would be the Trey Lance pick. But no, the Patriots don't go with quarterback. But Kyle Pitts will be a matchup nightmare. He really will be. And we know that Belichick likes to incorporate tight ends before. Back in 2010, we drafted Gronk in the second round, then Hernandez in the fourth. Then they incorporated both of them at the same time. But Kyle Pitts, both as an inline guy, where you're wasting his talents. Put him out wide, put him in the slot, just have him try and match up against safeties and linebackers. They will fail against Kyle Pitts. Bring it. 16. So Kwity Paye finally gets off the board. Kwity Paye opposite of Chandler Jones. Let's go. 17. The Raiders. Dun, 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 dun. So they finally get Trey Lance off the board, and this would be wow. So potentially trading Derek Carr would make sense. Mariota, I would hang on to Mariota in this spot. Have Mariota penciled in as starter. Trey Lance, the jump from FCS to the NFL level is going to be pretty steep. So you're hedging your bets there a little bit. But I actually think that you could get something decent for Derek Carr, maybe even as high as the second round pick. But yeah, the Raiders stop his draft day slide. 18. So Najee Harris, running back from Alabama. First running back taken ahead of Etienne. I understand the appeal of Harris, especially his receiving skills, but I mean, Etienne just slaps different, man. He does. But the Dolphins trying to build around Tua. They get his college teammate in Najee, plus they got Rashawn Slater at 3. Sure. 19. So Washington misses out on the run of quarterbacks. Now, if Trey Lance is falling, I mean, they should be a call-in. Right, but didn't happen. They just re-signed Taylor Heineke to a 2-year deal, so I think that him as a bridge quarterback to whatever the hell is going to be the future at quarterback does make sense. But Zaven Collins, the linebacker, now they do have a lot of other needs, especially around the offensive line. But I mean, getting Zaven Collins behind that defensive line, behind that front four, it is really, really intriguing. Although Darrisaw should be the pick, man. Should be the pick to replace Trent Williams, which you never really did last year at left tackle. 20. So this should be the Christian Darrisaw pick. I'm starting getting frustrated because I'm a big Darrisaw fan. I don't understand why he's being poo-pooed on. He's a very solid all-around left tackle, but it's whatever. Okay, Bears, go ahead. Take Kadarius Toney, even though, God, he's a lot of fun. Like, Toney and Mooney together in Chicago, gross. Absolute gross. They're probably going to lose Allen Robinson, so it be what it be. Yuck. 21. So the Colts benefit from a massive draft day slide from Patrick Surtain. This would be surprising. And we didn't mention him when the Vikings were on the clock at 14, but this would be a decision. I think that they would have to give serious consideration to taking Surtain if he fell to 14, but falls all the way to 21. They're probably not going to resign Xavier, so it really is a nice pickup here by Chris Ballard and company. Next up, funny, Chris Ballard and Christian Ballard. So one is a successful GM, one is a failed mid-round pick by the Vikings defensive tackle out of Iowa. Been there. Anyway, 22. Gregory Rousseau, his draft day slide stops, putting him on the defensive line with Jeffrey Simmons. Then got Harold Landry at linebacker. That's a nice little front seven. 23, the Jets taking Jalen Phillips in this spot so they get Sewell at the top. They get Jalen Phillips, where Phillips would be a nice edge complement to Jonathan Franklin Myers, who's really starting to come along for Robert Saleh. Plus, of course, you got Quinton Williams in the middle. 24. So Steelers, I mean, this would be the Christian Darrisaw pick. You need to replace Villanueva, but whatever. So they may have to cut Joe Hayden because of the salary cap, but but J.C. Horn has got the length, got the size, really. Again, this should be the Darrisaw pick, but I understand where you're going with J.C. Horn. 25. So finally, Darrisaw comes off the board. Our long national nightmare is over. And Darrisaw to protect Trevor Lawrence's ass makes a ton of sense. Replacing Cam Robinson, who never really worked out, is probably going to leave in free agency. Go get some Browns. So Devion Nixon coming on in, where you don't really often see him mocked in the first round, but you can't argue with Nixon's penetration at that 3-tech spot. Plus, Larry Ogunjobi is going to be a free agent, probably going to leave. They may have to cut Sheldon Richardson, even though the Browns have a ton of cap space. But getting Nixon in this spot, putting him on the defensive line with Myles Garrett and company, I like it. 27, the Ravens, all right, so Judon, franchise tag, probably leaving. Yannick freaking Ngakoue, that experiment didn't work out. But Basham, he can play stand-up outside linebacker. He can kick inside, play some 5-tech in that 3-4. You do a lot of things. I really like me some Boogie Basham. 28. So linebacker for the Saints. Could they take Kyle Trask in the spot? Maybe. It would be nice so the Vikings have that decision later. But Nick Bolton, linebacker out of Mizzou, an absolute dog, an absolute throwback, slobber knocker, going to rack up and stack up a ton of tackles, and potentially replace Demario Davis, who is starting to age out. I believe he's 33. Yeah, he's certainly not getting any younger. 29. So Rondale Moore to the Packers. Gross. I hate it. 30, Tyson Campbell to the Bills. I mean, the Bills cornerbacks, depending on what happens with Josh Norman, who's a free agent, but they got Tre'Davious White. Dane Jackson stepped up a lot more than people expected, but I mean, there's a lot other more pressing needs. Potentially edge rusher. Jerry Hughes is not getting any younger. Offensive line, depending on what happens with Feliciano, as well as the right tackle. Plus, I mean, wide receiver. I mean, putting Bateman with Diggs and Cole Beasley would make sense, but 31. So this is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He is not offensive line. Chiefs should rack up and stack up offensive linemen. Like, this should be Leatherwood. This should be Wyatt Davis no matter what. This should be Landon Dickerson. This should be Sam Cosmi. This should be Tevin Jenkins. This should be someone. Not Joke. Even though, yes, they do have to deal with Darren Waller twice a year, and Joke would be that eraser, but no. And then lastly, 32, Levi Onwuzurike, our guy from Washington, coming in and sort of replacing Ndamukong Suh. Definitely different stylistically, but gives you that quick first step penetration at that 3-tech spot. Dude's still on board. So Kyle Trask remains. Travis Etienne, only one running back went. Najee Harris went. Terrace Marshall, Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, wideout still on board. Pat Freiermuth, the tight end, still there. And then offensive line that we talked about: Leatherwood, Dickerson, Davis, Cosby, Mayfield, Jenkins, oh my. Edge rushers: Joseph Asai, Jason Awad, the two physical freaks did not make it. Dylan Moses, no go. Greg Newsome, Asante Samuel Jr., cornerbacks did not get their names called, and also no safeties, Holland and no Morig as well. But yeah, like we mentioned, I do love me some Christian Barmore, but I feel like at 14, the Vikings could potentially trade down, especially Washington, especially with Trey Lance falling, or hell, just take Trey Lance. Yeah, but I would be perfectly fine with Christian Barmore. I think his upside is certainly extremely, extremely high, but the Vikings are going to be in some interesting spots. Like, there's going to be a ton of talent on board. It's a perfect trade-down situation, but it takes two to tango. You need a team desperate enough to come up and not see that there's also a lot of talent still remaining on board. But anyways, your thoughts. Ryan Wilson's latest mock draft, his latest machination. Woo! Let us know in the comments section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work, pull something in Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.